Alright, so in a couple days we're going to be getting a free tier 3 selector as a part of the 8th-year anniversary login event, and because of that I actually had a couple people reach out to me asking what my thoughts are on these characters. So what I wanted to actually do today is take a moment to break down these 25 different characters that we're all going to be getting access to via this tier 3 selector that's going to be given out in 2 days time. So make sure you log into the game if you've been taking a break, otherwise you're going to miss out on a free tier 3 selector. And quite a few of the characters in the selector are actually really relevant right now. Some of them can even be pushed up to tier 4, and that makes them really powerful. Others like Storm and Black Bolt are only really good pickups if you have their seasonal uniforms, but I presume if you have their seasonal uniforms you would already have them at tier 3. So I'm gonna rank them where they position in the game currently, but do keep in mind that if you don't have the seasonal uniform for somebody like Storm, she's not necessarily a great pickup from the tier 3 selector. So for Storm, since she can get up to tier 4, she's great for World Boss Legend and Giant Boss Raid, but the majority of people who get Storm and have this uniform, the primary use for her is Alliance Battle Legend, because she covers 2 different days relating to the mutants, Blast Mutant and Female Mutant. Now this is a summer uniform, so if you don't currently have it because you didn't buy it last year, keep in mind that around July or August this year she's going to come back in rotation. However, how relevant she will be when she comes back, I do not know, but as of right now she's the strongest Blast Mutant in the game, even if you tier 4 Jean Grey and play her as a Blast character, because Jean Grey's Blast uniforms are very old. Moving on, we have Black Bolt. Black Bolt is great for Alliance Battle, but I would say the majority of people who have Black Bolt, although they use him for Alliance Battle, he's more of like a Giant Boss Raid, World Boss Legend killer. So I'm going to put him here. I think Black Bolt is in a completely different category than Storm, because even though Storm is great for World Boss Legend, her survivability isn't necessarily the greatest. Granted, Black Bolt is no tank either, but I would say he has better survivability than Storm, better damage than Storm, and overall he's just a better character. Moving on, we have Black Panther. Black Panther is a story mode Alliance Conquest filler character, Shadowland, that's pretty much it. Same goes for Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is decent in Conquest. I would say he's better than Black Panther, but it's debatable between the two of them. Realistically, both of them are lacking in damage, survivability. They don't have heals in their kits. It's just really silly, especially when you consider how much more recent this uniform is. It's kind of crazy that he is so bad. Next up, we have Vision. Vision is also pretty much a leadership slash Alliance Conquest character. I could throw him in the support category because he buffs Iron Man, but I'm gonna put him down here where he really gets used. It's pretty much the story mode in Alliance Conquest, because there's better leaderships both for Scarlet Witch and Iron Man, and a lot of the times when you're using Scarlet Witch, you're gonna use her with her own leadership instead of Vision. It just makes more sense. Can't really justify putting him in the support category, even though he supports other people than himself. Moving on, we have AntMan. AntMan is pretty much like World Boss Legend, Giant Boss Raid. He has really good damage. Now, if you push him up to tier 4, I would say he becomes one of the strongest characters in the game, but his tier 4 is not necessary. Keep that in mind. Black Widow, also primarily used in Alliance Battle. She covers Alliance Battle, Extreme, and Legend, as opposed to Storm, who is pretty much just Alliance Battle Legend. I want to put Black Widow ahead of Storm because she has better survivability. Obviously, both of these guys at tier 4 can do Giant Boss Raid and World Boss Legend, but I don't think either one of these guys are on the same level in terms of damage as AntMan and Black Bolt. Moving on, we have Cyclops, leadership and support. That's what he's always been. That's what he's going to remain. In the case of Captain Marvel, she's pretty much just an Alliance Conquest character. Now, I know you guys are probably wondering why I separated Alliance Conquest and PvP, and the reason why I did that is because of the fact that Hulk is in a completely different tier than these guys here. And if I just made one PvP PvP category and then combine timeline battle and alliance conquest together and then put these guys in the same category as Hulk, it would make absolutely no sense, because none of these guys are good enough to be used in timeline battle, and Hulk is a staple in timeline battle. Currently, he's a staple in alliance conquest, and we have a new PvP game mode coming out with the drop of the 8th-year anniversary, and I'm guessing Hulk is going to be really good there as well. Whereas these guys, highly unlikely that any of them will be meta in the new content that's coming. Anyways, moving on. I'm going to put War Machine in the support category because he supports machine characters like Iron Man. Iron Man is pretty much World Boss Legend and Giant Boss Raid. Now, as a tier 4, I would say Iron Man is definitely more useful than Ant-Man, especially if you have his superior Iron Man uniform. Next up, we have Spider-Man, obviously a PvP character. Spider-Man's PvE value for Giant Boss Raid, World Boss Legend, and all that stuff, even at tier 4, is underwhelming at best. Next up, we have Taskmaster. He's a support character. When it comes to Thor, here's the thing. Primary place where a lot of people use Thor is hard to decide truthfully, because one, Thor is the only universal alien superhero that we have for ABL, so he's the meta there, but he's also extremely powerful for Giant Boss Raid and World Boss Legend, and there's certain stages that only him and Thanos can do, and if you didn't pick up the seasonal uniform for Thanos, he's your best bet. So I kind of have to put him here because he does more than just World Boss Legend for a majority of people that have him. Whereas for Black Widow and Storm, the majority of people who have these characters primarily just use them for ABX and ABL. Next up, we have ShangChi. And here's the thing. ShangChi is way better than all of these characters right here in the story / alliance conquest category, but he's not good enough to be in the timeline battle PvP meta conversation. However, depending on the difficulty of the new piece of PvP content that we're getting in the anniversary update, ShangChi might actually make a return, because his third skill with the reflect damage is absolutely broken beyond belief, so he would not be a terrible tier 3 to pick up if you had some of the other options here. Next up, we have Captain America, and Captain America is one of the strongest characters in the game. If you get him up to tier 4, he absolutely rips through Giant Boss Raid and World Boss Legend, but even at level 80 in this new uniform, he's a menace. Okay, absolutely disgusting damage. He's one of the best characters to use against Gore. With me, I was able to go all the way up to stage 49 against Gore with him, so I cannot underestimate him. Same goes for Venom as well. I want to put Venom right here, just behind Captain America, simply because of the fact that some of the feats that took my Venom being tier 4 to accomplish, my Captain America did them at tier 3. Next up, we have Ghost Rider, and Ghost Rider at this point is simply just alliance conquest fodder, truthfully story mode fodder. Since he has an element, he's gonna pop up in the all war quite often, so do keep that in mind. Next up, we have Hela. I'm definitely gonna have to put her right there as one of the best characters. We're gonna go from left to right. The character that is the furthest to the left is the one that's the best, and the one that's the furthest to the right is the worst. So right here, we'd have to put Black Panther as the worst there. Ghost Rider has more value than these guys just because of the fact that he's an elemental character, so he's gonna pop up in story. And if you care about getting a chance of an Odin's blessing from this box right here, he's probably a really good one to tier 3 for free using the selector that we're gonna get if you already have the other characters. Next up, we have Sharon Rogers, and obviously Sharon Rogers is at the very tippity top here. I'm waiting to test her out in ABL to see if she actually becomes the new meta, because she has the potential to do so. It's really debatable if she's ahead of Thor, and the reason for that is Thor can be used in very high stages of World Boss Legend. However, there's not that many high stages that require Sharon Rogers specifically in World Boss Legend, but she's really good regardless. And in addition to that, she's more proc friendly than Thor, so you can use her with a CTP of energy, destruction, or rage, whereas with Thor, your options are a lot smaller. You only have basically a judgment and a rage to choose from. Next up, we have Loki, and Loki is pretty much just alliance battle at this point. Next up, we have Rogue. Rogue, because she has an element, can and will pop up in a lot of story missions, which includes the all war, so having having her as a tier 3 for free saves you some mats and also gives you a chance of getting more Odin's blessings. Next up, we have Daredevil. We're gonna put Daredevil right about here just because his primary place is in Alliance Conquest. Now, if you care more about Conquest, he would be around here behind ShangChi. But if we're talking about the chances of getting more story mode fragments, then obviously I'm gonna have to put these guys first. Falcon is really good for World Boss Legend for newer players, but truthfully speaking, these guys right here, because they have level 80 and tier 4 at their disposal, they are significantly more powerful than he is. So I'm just gonna have to put him down here in this category as a story mode / Alliance Conquest character. Falcon is really good for Alliance Conquest because he has debuff removal built into his kit. His tier 2 passive allows him to recover up to 120% of his HP over the course of 4 seconds. This is going to be active for about 50% of the time that you're using Falcon because it's on an 8-second cooldown. Now keep in mind that skill cooldown does not affect this. Anyways guys, I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Hopefully this tier list gave you guys some insight regarding who you should consider for your free tier 3 selector for the 8th year anniversary.